And so one of the smartest things we did after World War II was we formed NATO because alliances provide security. Imagine if we didn't have NATO now.
Can you imagine it now? Because there are some people who fear that this Atlantic alliance, born in the Second World War, is now dying before our very eyes. Is that your concern?
It's a grave concern. I think it would change the modern history of the world if that occurs. Look, we are not the essential nation, but we're the only nation in a position to have the capacity to bring people together to lead the world.
今天给大家带来的是拜登的一段采访视频。这个视频的背景是拜登在大选当中失利，特朗普上台之后，拜登对于特朗普的一些评价。视频拜登还是对特朗普分析的比较透彻。话不多说让我们一起来看一下。
Former US President Joe Biden has warned in an exclusive interview with the BBC that pressure from the Trump administration on Ukraine to give up territory to Russia is modern-day appeasement.
In his first interview since leaving the White House, Mr. Biden has been speaking to Nick Robinson on Radio 4's Today programme to mark the 80th anniversary of VE Day. And Nick asked President Biden about the lessons that are learned by commemorating this moment of history.
I do fear a little bit. And I don't think it's been forgotten by the people. I think it's been forgotten by the leadership a little bit. Excuse my cough. The fact is that my father and mother's generation knew what was at stake. They knew that that democracy was literally hanging in the balance. You know, the United States has never been able to avoid a war in Europe. And so one of the smartest things we did after World War II was we formed NATO because alliances provide security. Imagine if we didn't have NATO now.
Can you imagine it now? Because there are some people who fear that this Atlantic alliance, born in the Second World War, is now dying before our very eyes. Is that your concern?
It's a grave concern. I think it would change the modern history of the world if that occurs. Look, we are not the essential nation, but we're the only nation in a position to have the capacity to bring people together to lead the world. Otherwise, you're going to have China and the former Soviet Union, Russia, stepping up.
You've talked about a great threat to democracy. Do you really believe that there is a greater threat now to democracy than at any time since the Second World War?
Yes, I do. Because, I mean, look at the number of European leaders in European countries. They're wondering, well, what do I do now? I mean, what's the best route for me to take? Can I rely on the United States? Are they going to be there?
You know what they're saying in this administration. The US Defense Secretary talks about European freeloading. The Vice President talks about your country, the United States, bailing out Europe. There's an anger there. Have they not got a point?
No, they don't have a point. Look, imagine there being no NATO. Do you think Putin would have stopped at Ukraine? Do we think Putin would have stopped I don't understand how they fail to understand that there's strength in alliances. There's benefits. The cost it saves us money overall.
Let's turn to Ukraine, can we? Because you compared the war in Ukraine with the Second World War. President Trump is now saying, look, if you want peace, Ukraine is going to have to give up some territory. Some people think that is common sense to say that. Do you think it's not common sense? It's perhaps modern-day appeasement?
It is modern-day appeasement. Look, listen to what Putin said when he talked about going from Kyiv into Ukraine. And why? He can't stand the fact that the Russian dictatorship that he runs, that the Soviet Union has collapsed. And anybody thinks he's going to stop is just foolish.
What did you make of those scenes in the Oval Office? President Trump and President Zelensky?
I found it sort of beneath America, the way that took place. And the way we talk about now that, well, it's the Gulf of America. Maybe we're going to have to take back Panama. Maybe we need to acquire Greenland. Maybe Canada should be a fit. What the hell's going on here? What president ever talks like that? That's not who we are. We're about freedom, democracy, opportunity, not about confiscation.
I can hear your passion. I can hear your anxiety that the world is changing the way it has. And for a long time you believed, you said, I'm the man who can stop Donald Trump. And you did once. And in the end you withdrew from that election campaign at the last minute. It's a question you know lots of people ask you, Mr. President. Did you leave it too late? Should you have withdrawn earlier, given someone else a bigger chance?
I don't think it would have mattered. We left at a time when we had a good candidate. She was fully funded. And what happened was, I had become what we had set out to do. No one thought we could do, and become so successful in our agenda. It was hard to say, "No, I'm going to stop now." I meant what I said when I started. That I think I'm prepared to hand this to the next generation. It's a transition government, but things move so quickly that it made it difficult to walk away, to get, and. It was a hard decision, but
regrets though?
No, I think it was the right decision. I think that well, it was just a difficult decision.
好了，我们挑几个重点啊，一起来聊一下。这里谈到了在大选当中，拜登曾说他是唯一一个能够阻止唐纳德·特朗普上台的人，但却在最后一刻退出了竞选活动。拜登认为他不认为这有什么关系。在他离开的时候他们有一个很好的候选人，而且也有充足的资金。这里还谈到了特朗普政府向乌克兰施加的要求将领土交给俄罗斯的压力是现代的绥靖政策。拜登回答，他说他确实有点害怕。他害怕的是什么呢？他害怕的是民主的平衡状态会被打破。拜登在美国总统位置上的时候一直是对乌克兰是大力支持的。不仅他支持他还联合整个欧洲那些国家一起支持乌克兰。为什么支持乌克兰？他实际上支持的是乌克兰的这种意识形态，就是那种民主的那种意识形态。美国这个国家一直是把意识形态看得很高的一个国家。所以为什么特朗普上台之后大家都大吃一惊因为特朗普就违背了美国的一个传统，所以大家没想到由美国选民选出来的一位美国的总统居然与民主背道而驰。所以前段时间大家也说灯塔倒了包括后期特朗普的一些关税政策，还有一些各种各样的对于世界经济政治形势的一个破坏，实际上都是让大家始料未及了。只能说特朗普的上台带来了混乱，破坏了秩序。最起码我个人的观点是这样的。好了，本期视频就到这里，感谢大家收看。